Hello and welcome back. Today we are doing pasta alla Gricia. This is one of the classic Italian dishes. It involves just a very few delicious ingredients that you have to be very specific about. Some ingredients you can sub out, but if you can get the right stuff, it's always best. What we're doing here is we are cooking spaghetti. This is to al dente, which is normally 10 minutes. However, you're going to cook it 1 minute under that. Below here in the pan, we have, this is kind of a technique video here. We have pancetta. Now, normally you're going to want something called guanciale. Now, it's very hard to get guanciale. Very unlikely you will find it anywhere. If you do, awesome, use that, but you probably won't find it. And this is entirely going to be a technique video. You'll see why here in just a second. Okay. And right now I'm just adding the noodle. We're going to kill the heat. We're going to keep the hot water. You see how I'm scooping it out? I'm not dumping the hot water because we need that hot water here in just a minute. Okay, it looks like I've gotten all the noodles. Excellent. Putting this back on the heat, and we're going to add some water to that. Not too much. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. And so what we're doing here is we are cooking the remaining couple of minutes with some water, and this water needs to cook off. Okay? The reason we are using this hot pasta water is, of course, so we cook it faster. And we're also trying to coax out the starches that are inside of the pasta, okay? So we need starches to come out. We need to cook through. We're cooking it on some heat. And again, this is all technique. It's really going to vary quite a lot depending on what kind of heat you make in your kitchen. So while this is cooking, let's talk about some other things that are going on here as well. Again, all we have for ingredients so far is the pasta noodle, which is spaghetti, cooked al dente 9 minutes, then transferred into the pan. The pancetta was sweated, okay? You sweat the pancetta just until it's about to brown, but you don't want to brown it. If you brown it, you're going to ruin the flavor that comes out of it, okay? Now, a lot of people will say what you should do is pick out the guanciale or the pancetta, or worst case scenario, bacon. You can flavor bacon a little bit to try to simulate what guanciale will do, but it's unlikely. Let's talk about guanciale. If you can get it, very unlikely, but try. I'm going to be trying to get guanciale in the future, and in fact I'm actually going to make my own guanciale very soon, because it is something that you can make laboriously. It takes about 3 months to cure. But guanciale is a cut of meat from the jowl of the pig, which is like the cheek, and attached to that piece of meat is going to be the skin, okay? And so basically you get the skin off, or you get the hair from the pig off the skin a little bit. You can burn it off, you can scrape it off with a knife. And then what you're going to do is, of course, after it's been thoroughly washed and you cut some of the fat out, what you're going to do then is you're going to take it and you're going to season it with bay leaf, with peppercorns or crushed peppers, with garlic. Also fennel can be used as well. That is what kind of flavor is in this stuff. Once you coat it, once you coat the guanciale meat with that, it's then salted, and then it's kind of marinated or brined really for about a week. Then it gets pulled out, and then it gets covered in usually pepper, completely coated in pepper, and then tied and then hung up. And that is going to reduce by about 1/3 or 30%. So that gives you the idea of what kind of flavor profile is involved in guanciale. Very interesting what happens there with that. And so again, you can see why bacon doesn't do a good job, Pancetta is close, not quite there, but close. Okay, so far we've really only talked about 2 ingredients in making this. They're both kind of hard to get. The next ingredient here is Pecorino Romano. Now, look at this. Okay, this doesn't look like Pecorino Romano. What the heck is this? Okay, so actually what I did is I took about half a brick of Pecorino Romano, and again, you know, the whole bowl was kind of filled up to about there. I'm doing this all one-handed, so of course I'm not able to do this in front of you, but it was shredded out very finely. Use the finest setting on your shredder. And then you're going to mix that up in a bowl, and what you're going to do is you're going to spoon out some of this super, super hot water. Maybe I'll turn the heat on just to use it in case. You're going to spoon out that hot water, just little spoonfuls at a time, and you're going to get it kind of creamy. Okay, that's in fact starting to dry out a bit. I'll throw a little on top just for the heck of it. And the reason you're doing this is because you want it to be able to mix in to the actual pasta here when it's ready. Okay, it's coming around. I have salt out, by the way, but you know what? You don't need that. Why don't you need that? Well, because you have guanciale in there, which is going to be very heavily salted typically, or has enough salt in it. You've also got the pasta noodle, which of course you cooked in salt water. That's salty. Then you have pecorino cheese, which is made from sheep, not cow, and is also kind of salty. So there's salt coming in from all of your ingredients. You shouldn't really need to add extra salt. Not necessary. Okay, to me, I can see, I don't know if it's very visible, but you can kind of see that there is a little bit of the starchiness coming off. That's what we're looking for. Starchiness coming out. Great. Okay, next step, we're going to remove it from the heat. It's nice and hot. Excellent. Now, we're going to put this in. Let's see if I can hang on a sec. All right. So now we're going to work this in. It's very important that it is removed from the heat, because what will happen is it will not spread out properly if you don't do this right. See how it's getting creamy? It's not cooking. It's not cooking because it's not on direct heat. Okay? It's getting nice and creamy. Starting to get creamy. You don't want to add too much heat to this, because the texture is what we're doing here. Okay? We're not trying to melt the cheese so it gets all clumpy, because that sucks. You're going to want it to get that texture. That's why you turned it from a brick of cheese into then grated cheese. And then from there, you further decided, okay, now we need this to space out and get just like that. Okay? Now, it's time for the 4th and final ingredient. In fact, I'm going to go throw just a hair more water in there. Again, this is a technique thing, okay? You have to be able to judge this for yourself and figure it out. And again, if it's too hot, it'll all stick. You won't get the right texture. It's going to suck. It's not going to be creamy. It's going to fall off those spaghetti noodles and it's going to suck. So it is risky adding water, even hot water, to this, because you lose that creaminess. This looks pretty good. Finally, it needs black pepper. That looks about right. You can see we have a nice cream going. It's really, really pretty. Starting to clump just a little bit, and that happens from the hot water alone. So this is exactly, and you could have actually pulled it off a little bit faster a second ago, but I was kind of still talking. But this is set. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, very, very creamy all over. That's it. This is the magic. This is one of the most popular pastas in Rome, It is very, very Roman. It's very, very old. It's a very, very old recipe. That's it. And the flavors are incredible. There's no garlic in there. It's just a very few ingredients, and that's it. That's the magic. You got to taste it to believe it. That's all I got to say. Definitely give it a try. If you're wondering how much spaghetti this is, by the way, easy way to measure how much spaghetti to use for one serving, double shot glass. If it fits in a double shot glass and it's spaghetti or angel hair, that's a serving. All right, that's all I got. Thank you for watching Juxta Cook PDX. We'll see you next time.